Okay.
All right, we'll call to order. Okay, so call to order, which is great. So let's waive reading of the minutes, but any comments on the minutes? Where did I just lose the minutes? I hate when you lose something on your own screen. It's like it's
I know the feeling.
right there. So any comments under the minutes? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bernie. Second by Peggy. All in favor?
Aye.
Very well. Okay, so let's see, call for public comment. As always, please, we'll keep this sort of to relatively quick. Love to hear about what's going on, and under individual issues, we may go ahead and refer to some stuff afterwards, but let's go ahead and start. I think Cindy, you were out there first.
Oh, I have only good things to say. Amy, shout out to Amy. You said you'd get it done with the fob. You got it done. And Anna, I thought I was going to wait for you to come out and put that sticker on. You came right out. These ladies, I just think the world of them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And then, sorry. So somebody just got dropped. Bernie, is there anyone in the waiting room right now, or?
Yeah, there are two people.
Go ahead and let those in and we'll get them registered.
Okay, we have Sandrita and Amy's back.
Super. Let's see, I think Melissa, you were second today. Anything you'd like to add? You are on mute in case you want to comment. All right, tell you what, we'll move over to Jeanette. If you have anything to add, and then we'll come back to Melissa. Jeanette?
Yeah. So hi everyone. So would like to know if there's any more updates on the parking situation. I know we did get a sticker, and I'm assuming we're going to get our space is the same, but as far as the policy, I submitted some questions that I had to the managers and to Ann, but I didn't receive any answers yet. So I'm wondering how that's going.
Let's go ahead and let's address, I mean, it's on our agenda. Why don't we go ahead and just address that now, and we'll get that out of the way. Do we have an update from Westmount on parking and parking situation and rules and implementation?
Amy and Ann, can you answer that?
Yes, of course. We're right now, currently, we got all the stencils and the supplies. We're just waiting for the temperatures to be right so that we are able to utilize the paint and stuff like that. We already started implementing the stickers and stuff. We also have started towing. And basically, we just gotta wait for the stenciling, to be able to be done. It's just too cold to do it. It has to be at least 50 degrees, it said, 50 to 80 degrees, so that the paint can take.
No, I think Jeanette was asking about the email that she sent where she had a list of questions in there. I don't have that in front of me. But I think I recall, Jeanette, some of the questions had to do with assigning a space to a unit as opposed to a car to a space, and some other questions. Am I right about that, Jeanette?
Well, basically, I would like to know what's going to happen when someone's parked illegally or parked, whether it be in my space or at the curb. I don't know what the procedure is to handle that, or what the company is that you hired that's going to be monitoring it, as far as the visitors parking and how that goes. As far as the how many cars get, my feeling, and again, this is open for discussion. We've had it several times. But not giving the same sticker to two people who have more than one car in an apartment is going to still give them access to using the visitors parking without being known who it is.
No, unfortunately, they won't be able to use the visitors parking if they have a sticker.
if they have a sticker, but if it is a 2-car house, if someone who lives with me also has a car and is not getting a sticker, then they can park in the visitor parking.
Mute your phone.
Unbelievable.
Bernie, are you able to mute them?
I don't know who that's coming from. I can't tell.
It says Anna, so it might be.
Chandrita, is that? Yeah,
No,
I think
that's not me.
no, not Anna. I said Chandrita.
Yeah.
I think it was, I saw her thing trying
Chandrita
to-
is muted, so it wouldn't be from Chandrita.
Wow, she just
Oh,
muted.
She is
Anyway,
just- that's okay.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's gone now. And so Jeanette, I think, hopefully I don't speak out of turn when I say this, but I think the answer to your question is that the intention is to assign a space to a unit. If a household has multiple cars and the space that's assigned to a unit is space number 10, as an example, that those 2 cars will each have a sticker that will have the number 10 on them. So if there is one of the 2 cars in the household parked in space number 10, and another one of the cars is parked in a visitor space and it's labeled number 10, that car would be subject to tow.
Well, then I'm in total agreement of that. It was not explained that those cars were getting a sticker. But if the way you just described it is accurate and the way it's going to happen, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Because that's the way it has to be.
that's the intention.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's perfectly, that sounds really, that's how I see it also. And then the amount of time that is going to be allotted to the visitor, and how is that being monitored?
That's a tougher one. The monitor, obviously, during the week when we're staffed, it can be monitored by those, by the staff that's there. Nights and weekends is more difficult in terms of length of time. We really don't have a method to determine the length of time that someone is there. The only method that we have that we've been able to, that's the obvious method is a random sweep of the parking lot by the tow company, looking to see that parking is in compliance. Now, if someone's in the visitor lot and it's a non-stickered car in a visitor parking space, thinking this through, the assumption would be that is a visitor. Now, if it turns out that car is there for an entire weekend, that's a different thing. We would request that the office be notified of someone who intends to be there for an extended period of time. And if there is no notification, then that car would also be subject to tow.
Okay, all right. And then what mostly addresses me on almost every other day basis is parking at the curb. And that happens behind me regularly. I don't know how, it makes it really difficult depending on where they angle their car and where they put it. And it happens, it could be all weekend, it could be every night. I know it happened just the other day. And so, and I know there were people in the office, I sent emails. I don't know other ways to do other than to call a company myself, or I've taken pictures and license plates and even told you where I think the people are. So at least there has to be some kind of accountability for this, because unless it's not, it's going to continue. And it has continued for years. So I'm again, imploring you to please handle that situation. And as far as the rules that you just said, I think they're great, but I think they need to be in paper and given to everyone clearly.
Agreed. Agreed. And the curb side would be the same, same answer. And that is if someone is parking in a curb, especially in the fire, marked fire lane, that vehicle would be subject to tow as well.
Right, but how do you get that handled? How do you get that done?
If a car is in there and the tow truck is doing one of their random sweeps and it's parked in the fire lane, it gets towed.
Okay, because like I said, it happened to me this week, just one day, this is just random. I sent the email at 5 o'clock and then I sent it again at 8:30 and the same car was still there.
Oh.
So that's over a period.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
And I even told it came from. So I don't know how else to address it,
yeah, I mean, as you know, parking has been an issue at the property since day one. I'm sure that it's going to continue to be a challenge. We're going to do the best that we can to try and control it as much as we can. There will always be an issue with parking there. And so, our intention is to do the best we can to try and solve as much of the parking problems as we can. It's not ever going to be perfect, but we're going to try and do the best that we can to make it as good as we can.
So
I'm not looking for perfection at this point. I'm just looking for at least some accountability to, they usually repeat offenders. So
Yeah.
at least for that.
So under two quick questions. So are we actively towing right now? And have people been
Yes.
informed that that's happening?
Yes, we are towing right now. And I actually had a conversation with Jeanette and I kind of suggested that all the tenants park their cars instead of going nose in, that they back up. In other words, so when the tow truck comes by, that their windshield is visible and they're able to see if they have a parking permit or not. That's where you're going to actually catch a lot of the tenants who don't have a parking permit are parking in people's spots and therefore they could be towed away.
That's definitely, suggestion. Like I said, where I am, it's really hard when they're parked at the curb for even me to make that angle going in backwards, coming up the hill. So again, I don't have as much. I used to have more trouble people parking in my spot. Now it's really the curb thing. And
I'm
if
a
I
teacher.
drove in,
Jeanette,
I
I'm
don't
gonna teach you how to do the curb driving. I'm gonna show you how to back up.
I know how to. I know how to back up. I'm driving for over 40 years. I know how to back up.
A quick question also, do we end up, what sort of video surveillance do we have of the parking lot?
We have reasonable surveillance. I mean, it's not perfect. It covers everything, but we do have exterior surveillance of the parking lots.
So are we able to identify like over a weekend? I mean, if somebody were to, pull in on Friday night and not move from, let's say the tow truck guy doesn't show up, but if somebody pulled in Saturday morning and then didn't move away from the curb until Saturday night, I mean, are we able to say, I would assume that's likely one of actually the residents, or it might be a repeat offender. And are we able to go ahead and try to locate that person if we have, repeated? We're never going to catch somebody for like a half an hour and then that's not worth even trying. But for the worst offenders, do we have any way to back up and help enforce?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if we know or are notified that someone's been parked at the curb for, pick a number, 24 hours, and it was over a weekend, we could access the cameras, look at it for that time frame, and assuming that the car is on camera, we'd be able to see it for the period of time because you could just run it forward. And if we're able to see the plate, and if we're able to identify and connect a plate to a unit or a resident, then yeah, we could follow up with that. I mean, all those things would have to happen in order for that to be possible.
I mean, I think.
Well, I've done that. You've had every license plate, every car color, every car. I go around and take 10 pictures and send it. So you definitely have that from me.
Right,
So
but the question is, can we match that to a unit or a person?
Yeah.
Well, you might not be able to, but that doesn't mean you can't call the tow truck to move it.
Oh, I know, but that wasn't Scott's question. Scott's question was, can we can we identify whose it is and then deal with it directly? At least I think that's what you were asking, Scott.
It is, because I mean, I think Jeanette's observation that odds are we probably got about, I don't know, 10 to 20 people who are the big offenders. And if we can start whittling that down, things will start improving pretty quickly. And so hopefully with a couple of and again, once some people start getting towed, my guess is that we're going to get a lot better compliance and people will become less gutsy at abusing the system. Just my guess.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Melissa, just circling back to you real quickly. Did you have anything you wanted to add? All right, Wendy, any quick comments?
I was just planning to listen, so it's
Okay.
been a good listen. I don't know, I don't know how backing up is going to do for a lot of people if they don't have cameras in the back of their car. I mean, in their cars, we could get even more trouble. But
I mean,
that's about it from what I've heard.
What's funny is it is actually a great observation. If all the stickers face forward, then anyone driving through immediately knows if you got a legal car or not, as opposed to having to, dance around the fronts and backs of everything. But okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Wendy.
but trying for people who don't have rear view cameras in the narrow space, excuse me,
Yeah.
could be damaging to cars.
Nope, it's
As they park.
you can't mandate that. We can ask it, but obviously not everyone will. Okay, let's move on to reports of committee and staff. So let's turn over to Westmount.
Okay, I'll start. I submitted the financial reports. I had one glitch in a cell in that report that is a protected cell, and I couldn't correct it on the mill financial. So I apologize for that, but I did do the math and I wrote it in the body of the email. So what you can see on those reports is the year, now the calendar year anyway, because it was through December 31st. And it was essentially as we had projected throughout the course of the year, where we had spike in expenses and then came back down again. And we're kind of basically running at or about break even for the property as a whole right now. And obviously, the intention for 2023 is to try and improve upon that a bit by hopefully not needing to spend quite as much money as we've spent in the past year on unit turnovers and other deferred maintenance items in particular. And hopefully our rent collection will improve, and we can again get our vacancies whittled down so that our overall income is up. That plus the increase that will phase in over the course of the year will hopefully give us a year that ends in the black as opposed to in the red. But generally speaking, we're kind of treading water financially, and we expect that to continue at a minimum. The other thing I'll mention and this is on the property status report from a rent perspective, is that there is another slug of money that's come to Unite CT that residents can get up to $5,000. So we're hoping that might help us further whittle down some of the accounts receivable that we have if tenants avail themselves of that money. It'll be a little tricky because 5,000 is a relatively small amount for against some of the balances that are out there, but a few here and there can go a long way to helping the cash position.
Now, Rick, is this of people that have previously applied, or is new applicants that have not applied before?
It could, my understanding is it could be either, and that the stipulation is that someone has to have a summons and complaint for eviction in court. So not a notice to quit, but an actual summons and complaint. And if we are at that stage with a resident, then they have the ability to access the funds.
Good. Not great, but good.
Right. Not what we want, but hopefully helpful.
Are we communicating that to the tenants in that category?
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I don't have a count as how many we have in that category. It's probably, we could probably count it on one hand right now.
I'm just wondering if you have, if Amy or Anna are making, helping direct them to the United CT or
Well, I
making
think
them aware of it.
the tricky part about that would be if we are at the summons and complaint stage, then it's likely, well, we know that our attorney is involved and it's likely that they have an attorney involved. And so at that point, their attorney is the one that should be notifying them of that possibility. We can
Okay.
certainly make sure that they know about it, but I'd be reticent to kind of step in and offer too much.
Okay, yeah, understood.
Peggy?
Yeah.
Peggy, I actually have reached out to a couple of tenants. Rick did send me the link, and I actually sent it to a couple of tenants to inform them of the funding, and see if they can apply for it. And if they need assistance, I can help them out as well.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Anna.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions on the finances side of it?
Rick, for the account receivable.
Yeah.
How much of that has been written off into the 2022 as far as, is a chunk of that reflected and that, the odds of us getting 100 cents on the dollar is pretty slim?
Yeah,
Or
well,
not until we get a final.
we haven't gone through the audit yet for 22, so we haven't written anything off at this point. And, we did on, which was the big one, phase 1 or phase 2, I forget.
Phase 2.
Phase 2 had the large balance, like 160 or something when at its peak, and we're down to about 100. And then, there are likely a few in there or more that are going to have to be written off. But,
Yep.
I think we should go through the audit process and then, with the auditors, make that decision at the time prior to completion of the audit. And I would say we'd make that decision based on where we are in terms of an eviction, lack of eviction, likelihood of collection, one by one decision at that point.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Amy, do you want to just kind of summarize your status report and maybe answer any questions that come up as a result?
Yes, hold on, yep. Yes, okay. Yeah, so right now we're with the 7 vacants. We've come across a little bit of snags with people applying and not meeting the income criteria for our programs. So we have another round already. I already am doing paperwork for all 7 units at this point in time. And so hopefully I could get these rented no later than March 1st. So I have some that might be able to be processed by the 15th if everything goes well. And then the other ones would go in as of March 1st. If they all, because everybody has seen the apartments already also when they have come to do the interview with me, and they're happy with them, with the way they look. There's some that were not even done, but they like the layout and everything. So hopefully, everything goes good with their paperwork and the numbers are there. So far, I'm not having that problem what I was having with the previous round. So that sounds good there. And then, like you said, with the receivables, I've been calling a lot of people. I'm also dealing with Section 8 on a few of the tenants that have some stuff that was outstanding. And we are coming to resolving those. And we should be receiving some more fund monies for phase 1. Phase 1 should be getting the monies coming in. And also I spoke with a few tenants too in the mills that they're paying up. So we're getting those things cleaned up as well. We continue to following up on calls and stuff like that. And if what I'm trying to do now is do some in-house repayments if they're under a certain amount of money, so that this way we could work with the tenants as well instead of going through the court and doing it, putting it in legal and having that extra expense.
All right, and then building projects is kind of self-explanatory.
Yes.
We have some roofing work that's going to be done and some siding work that's going to be done.
Mhm.
And I will make a mention, we've been working with iToro Appliance. Bernie, thank you for that reference. The only challenge we've had with them is that they don't accommodate a credit account. So every time we order something, we have to order with a credit card, and there's a limit to what we're allowed to spend on the accounts, primarily to avoid the fraud problems that we had previously. So that's been a little tricky in terms of our getting the stream of appliances that we're hoping to get, but we are working with a particular salesman there who's been out to the property and knows us now unit by unit in terms of what we need and what needs repair and what have you. So the relationship seems to be working out. We got that lighting fixed, Bernie. Also, thank you for the notice on that. So that's all set. And then I'm looking at what's left on there. Amy, can you just go over a little bit under the compliance and tenant issues section, maybe a little bit about the Eversource thing that we're
Okay, so
continuing to work
yeah.
on?
So I'm still having the issue with the Eversource bills. We are trying to get the time, whatever tenants that do have it in their name, I'm trying to have them sign this letter that it could be transferred over to them. But I think we're getting it too late back from Eversource, in the sense that they're not, they're automatically hitting us over the head with it. And they're expecting us, because it goes into, let's say a tenant's bill is like $300. It goes automatically into collections. And then they're automatically hitting it over up to us, where the tenant, if it's not in the tenant's name already, it just automatically will hit onto the New Canaan Housing Authority. And then it goes to collection, and you don't know what tenant it's for or what it's for, because Eversource has sent them out to the various different collection agencies, and they just tell you to refer back to. So I had that's the issue with the collection agencies on that. And we can't remove, they won't allow us to remove our name and give a lease or anything. Only you have to go through everything through Eversource, and that's a lengthy process of. So I go into the offices there and bring what we need so that they can try to alleviate all of this problem.
Yeah, so if I,
Then Mitchell came out of nowhere, and they're asking for propane bills to be paid for one from the conversion. Go ahead.
yeah, so
Go ahead,
the two issues seem to be on the Eversource of the switchover
Rick, you
from,
could go.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the changeover from propane to gas has created two problems. One is on the Eversource side, tenants that didn't switch or haven't switched the bill, put the bill in their name for the gas, now have run up a bill where it's being referred to collections, as Amy said, and because it's still in the name of the property and hasn't been put in the tenant's name, we're having to deal with that. And then the second part of the issue is that prior to the switch, there were tenants who were in arrears on the Mitchell propane bills. And the agreement with Mitchell was that any accounts that were in arrears would become the responsibility of the property. So we got a bill for about $7,500 from Mitchell. So the changeover from a paperwork and account perspective has been extremely challenging and is ongoing. So, we keep reporting it month after month, but it's one of these things that I think is going to take a while to resolve.
I don't have any bright ideas. I think you guys are a lot closer to it. And I mean, the only thing that we've ever found that works is that pleading housing authority tends to get a little bit more sympathy than a typical customer.
Do we have the meter numbers and the amounts that are due on the meters, on each meter?
Amy, do you have it at that level of detail? I don't know the answer to that.
I just have the bills that keep on coming in. When they come in, it does have the meter number. It says what apartment number they belong to. We make a copy of it. We send it to the tenant, letting them know. We've spoken to tenants over the phone about it too, to let them know that they need to pay their bills. This is part of their responsibility, and it's part of their lease that they're required and responsible for their own utilities. A majority of the mills I don't have a problem with. I have maybe 2 tenants there that didn't do it, and then that are in the process of getting those things done because I want proof of it by a certain date. And then the bigger project is of the phase 1 and the phase 2. Those people up there, I don't even understand how the meter is over there because it doesn't match the number that's on the bill.
Oh,
So I'm not
Oh.
sure how that is written, because we actually, that's how it looked when Gunnar and I went over to look at the meters and see. It was like, where the heck is this meter? And I didn't
They were
understand.
supposed to
Then
mark the unit number, Amy. They were supposed to mark the unit number on each meter. I guess they didn't in every building.
Yeah, so they were supposed to, when they came out, they were supposed to put the stickers on them of what it where and what apartment it belonged to, but just a hot mess. It's not complying with what we have. So I don't know if it's like the way they're doing the bill. Is it, so you have some tenants that I've spoken with that they have an actual gas and light bill all as one bill.
Right.
And then you have one that has a gas bill separate from the electric bill.
Right, Amy, we can decide that. I'm an Eversource customer. I have Eversource right now, gas, electric, and that's up to me to consolidate. They always reach out to me and say, do you want to put it on one bill? And I, when I go on the website, because I am on their website, and I can tell you that the meters behind me are all marked because I've gone out and looked at mine. So,
Okay.
but it is up to the tenant they can decide to put it on one bill.
And also the meter number should appear on the bill.
I think it does, Bernie.
But that's, I think Amy was saying that the meters may not line up with the apartments. Is that?
Yeah, it doesn't. And that
Ooh,
it was
that's
another
kinda
issue that
scary.
I have with
All
one
I
of the
could say
apartments.
is I wanted to make it
Can we-
so simple. Every time we converted a building, I had a list of the tenants in the building, supplied that to the woman that was in charge of the project with Eversource, and they were supposed to issue the new bill according to that account. Never
That didn't
happened.
happen. No, never happened. Mm-mm.
So
And
who-
then Greta decided to retire, and I don't know who took over.
Oh, because I was gonna say, who was that? Because I'd love to go back to that person, but she retired. So,
I don't blame her.
yeah.
Scott, is what Scott's saying that if it doesn't match up, you mean I could be paying somebody else's electric bill?
Not all of them are wrong. Hopefully, a lot of them are right. But the mere fact we have any that don't match is the part that's a hassle. Would I
That's
say-
kind of
saying that
scary.
right?
You're the part.
Yeah, so I think that's what Eversource was out not too long ago, trying to match up meters with apartment numbers.
I saw him here.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So then now when I've gotten someone's bill here and I go over there with Gunnar, I'm like, okay, which is which? And we're looking at it like, where is this number that matches this? And it's not.
That's scary.
All right, so do you feel you have an adequate contact at Eversource or no?
No, we don't. We do not. Because every time you're waiting on the phone about 2.5 hours, I've waited an hour and a half just to speak with someone and then get the call dropped after we're in the middle of something. So my goal is to try to see if that I can make an appointment and actually go in with all the bills that we have and have the lease, so that this way, because Janjita was explaining that you have to send the lease, and that she had a situation too, and that you would have to have the lease and then have the tenant sign the paper. But then that was another reason why I was asking Bernie not too long ago about when was the conversions for each of the buildings, so that I knew what dates they started. So that this way it could go from the very first date that it was on, that it would be in the tenant's name and not in our name.
Well, just there's a couple quick suggestions. One is, I don't know whether or not AP has any other connections under Eversource that we're dealing with right now. We can also end up going to the town. I mean, it's like, look, we want to try to handle this internally first, but we can go to Tiger, man at the town, and see if Tiger can't help to do some of this. And then if we need to, we can also go to our state reps and have them start putting utility pressure on. Because I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, for them.
Yeah.
Maybe a good thing to do would be to ask Tiger for his contact at Eversource, and then, drop,
See if we could
make a
get
call
someone
there and
to
drop
help
his
us.
name and say, hey, Tiger suggested reach out to you. We have this issue. Can you help?
I'm going to go ahead and I will include Amy and Rick on this one. Or Ann.
Everyone has an Eversource electric account, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially they know.
No,
all
no,
the-
no, no. You could, I just switched to Constellation. It's a lot cheaper. Eversource is 24 cents, 24.17 cents. I got to deal with Constellation for $16.99.
Right, but you're
My
still going to
gas is
get an
gonna be-
Eversource bill because there's the
Correct.
the
Correct.
generation
Rick,
and the delivery. So it's still
That's
going to all
correct.
run through Eversource.
Right.
That's correct.
So, it's a question of kind of building the database of, okay, here are the electrical customers. And then figuring out what the meter numbers are, the
Peggy,
ones
that
that
would
we
have been
know,
the
and then fill them in. I mean,
easiest
it's a nightmare. It's a
I
nightmare,
know,
Bernie, but
Peggy, that would have been the easiest way of doing it, but I couldn't get him to cooperate with that idea.
well, I'm sure, but it's now gonna have to come in and I mean, if the town of Canaan starts having to say, okay, all of the affordable housing money is gonna be going into paying collection
Eversource.
agencies on the gas. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah, I'm writing Tiger right now. So let's go ahead. Let's move on from this. And
Okay, thank you.
checking it, if you
Thank
want to
you.
check in with Niles and just check in with our AP guys. And then meanwhile, I'll go ahead and get this email out to Tiger right now. And hopefully we'll be able to move this forward. As a quick note, as Cindy points out too, I mean, I was shocked too. I got my electric bill and I'm like, I knew it was going up, but it's like, you guys are out of your minds.
Yeah.
Helping to go ahead and just remind people that there are alternatives is not a bad idea. Because I said the same thing with Cindy, and it's, a dime less, which is 40% less, was one of the other providers, which is kind of embarrassing again for Eversource.
Yeah.
Right. They just sent out an email that Governor Lamont, they're giving $25 for every account that might be like a Section 8. I mean, I can forward that email, Amy, if you'd like to see it. It's if you qualify for these, it's automatic going to be on your bill. So maybe some of those bills you have are going to get this $25 credit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw the insert that you put into the bill. Yeah, it comes with the bill.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it came with the bill. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing I had to report is that you'll see that going back to the financials, the cash balance is a little bit low on phase 2, which has the RAD units, right? Phase 2 has the RAD units. I always forget.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the reason for that is that we had to go through the process of changing the direct deposit from HUD to the Bankwell accounts, because the Bankwell accounts all were changed because of the fraud. So they're catching up now with that. So you'll see that cash balance jump up again.
So the money is there, but it didn't make it into the account as yet, is what you're saying.
Correct. So it's all been submitted to HUD. They've approved it, and the request is in. Now we're just waiting for the payment. And that's for the months of December and January, or excuse me, December through February, because we request ahead of time for February.
And when do we adjust rents due to utilities allowances, or do we?
we're going through the utility allowance. Ann's been going through the utility allowance calculation with the HUD folks, which has been another extreme heavy lift because you have to go back in time, and we have tenants who were under Mitchell who didn't pay their bills or left or were evicted or whatever the case might be, and they want to have all this data in a database in order to come up with what the appropriate utility allowance is. And so piecing that together has been very challenging, but we're close to piecing it together for, I think it's 21, and then we've got to follow it with 22 and 23. The fluctuations aren't that dramatic. It's just getting all the data together is very challenging because you're going back in time.
Chafa is the best at requiring other people to provide data that they may or may not use.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. And HUD's is even better.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. And then the last item on there, Amy, was the security deposit interest letters. Those are going out.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, some went out yesterday and the other was supposed to go out today. I didn't get to do it. I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow, the finish of those.
Are they letters or statements from Bankwell?
They're letters.
Okay.
They're letters.
If
Yeah.
I could just ask, is there anything else going on with the generators now that the bad weather is upon us?
the generator project.
Yeah, like in case we lose power.
I forget where we let off. Were we putting in the I thought we were gonna go ahead and put in the generator for the apartment buildings in order to manage the systems. Was that correct?
I thought they were on order from Super K.
Yeah, I
That's kind of my recollection.
Yeah, that was a David and Niall project, and I'm pretty sure they're on order and we're waiting, and I presume still waiting for delivery.
They said at least 2 to 3 months.
Tell you what,
Well,
if
that
we
makes
could
it-
put, yeah, I mean, the generators are a long freaking lead time thing at this point, but Amy, if we could just put in your court, just if you could just keep in touch with David and Niles, just as to,
On
when
the
we expect anything.
generators?
Yeah, and the
Sure.
generator.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Westmount and public?
Okay, and then, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Amy, did you have something else for us? Public forum? All right, if nothing else, then I would.
Yeah,
move that
and
we-
in a couple of weeks, we'll be moving maintenance team to Canaan Parish space.
Great.
Could you explain that, please?
That is all.
Yeah, I can help with that, Bernie. So
I
got it,
go ahead.
Amy. So we have between the two properties, we have the 3 maintenance guys, Gunnar, Giovanni, and Aziz. And there's a very large space at the Canaan Parish North building. I get them confused, north and south, the north building that has both an office and a very large storage area. And so the idea is to run the maintenance operation, including materials, tool storage, office out of that space for the 2 properties. So now that the construction is concluding at Canaan Parish and the construction team is pulling out of that space, we're going to occupy it and make it the maintenance home base so that we can.
Home base, but they'll still have a presence here at Millport.
Oh,
won't they?
yeah. Every day. We want to get rid of the accumulation of materials that you see.
I know, and
in the-
it was important to have an
community room.
office rather than to have them in the community room.
Yeah, we want to end that. So Canaan Parish has a huge room, probably 3 or 4 times the size of the community room available. So the idea is we can use that instead and get rid of all that clutter.
I think that'll be very beneficial, I think, for everybody. So I'm glad that's coming together.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead, if there's no other comments in the public side, I'd like to just go to executive session. Do you have
I move to go into executive session.
Peggy for a second? All in favor? Aye. All right. So thank you very